Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Matt and I'm one of the vets from our Te Kauwhata clinic. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about early mating progress checks. Hopefully everyone has gotten off to a good start. Certainly the weather has been kind to us for spring and the general feedback is that the cows have been cycling well pre-mating. So the KPIs that we are going to be using are our submission rates, daily, 10 days and 3 weeks, as well as our non-return rate. So our submission rates are a measure of the percentage of cows that have been inseminated within a certain time period. The standard measure that you will see on your fertility focus reports will be the 3-week submission rate, but it is also helpful to know the daily rate, which is the average daily number of cows you need to put up to achieve that target percentage, or the 10-day submission rate, which acts as kind of like a halfway marker. We should be aiming to achieve around 90% from the first 3 weeks of mating. If we are failing to meet these targets, then potentially we have issues with cows not cycling or with our heat detection. The non-return rate is a measure of cows that were mated more than 24 days ago and have not been on a detected heat since. This is helpful because it can give us an early rough gauge of our conception rate. We should be aiming for a non-return rate of around 70%, with our true conception rate being roughly 10% lower. Again, this is a rough guide as there are a number of factors that can affect this, such as early embryonic death, phantom cows, or poor heat detection of your returns. If your AB period is less than 4 weeks, then we aren't be able to use this non-return rate as it's not long enough. So why do these matter? Both our submission rate and our non-return rate are key drivers of our 6-week in-calf rate and our empty rate. If your submission rate is low, you can't achieve a good 6-week in-calf rate, and if your conception rate is low, then the cows you're putting up aren't getting in-calf. So for every percentage point lower of our 6-week in-calf rate, that's costing us around $4 per cow. So for a 200 cow herd, that's around $800 per percent. The cost is even greater with our empty rate, with it costing us around $10 per cow per percent. So say if we could reduce our empty rate from 17% to 12% in a 200 cow herd, that could lead to a potential $10,000 gain. So this is probably something to consider when you're deciding on what to do for non-cyclers or your animal health spend. Obviously, by the time we know our 6-week in-calf rate and our empty rate at scanning, it's too late to make any changes if things have gone horribly wrong. So this is why knowing our submission rate and knowing our non-return rate early are key, as this allows us to be proactive and take action if things aren't going as well as they should. So most of you will already know how to calculate these, but for those who don't, I'll go through a quick run through on how to calculate your 3-week submission rate and your target daily submission rate. So with our submission rate, you take the number of cows that have been inseminated in the first 3 weeks of mating, times that by 100, and divide that by the number of cows at our mating start date, and this should give us the 3-week submission rate. So for a 200 cow herd, say we've put up 175 cows, and we had 200 cows at mating, that would lead us around an 87.5% 3-week submission rate. To get the daily submission rate, you take your target, so in this case we'll aim for the industry target of 90%, and times that by the number of cows mated divided by the days, so 21 days is the 3-week submission rate, and that would give us a figure of around 8.6 cows per day for a 200 cow herd. Just some quick things to remember: cows are only counted once when calculating that. Don't just count the number of inseminations in the first 3 weeks, as some cows may have had 2 inseminations in this time period. So if it looks like we're not going to be putting up enough cows and that we aren't going to be meeting our submission rate targets, what can we do? First, we need to identify what the problem is. So the 2 main culprits are normally heat detection or non-cycling cows. If we aren't picking up cows on heat, they can't get pregnant to AI. This leads to wasted straws and a poor submission rate. So the 2 common mistakes we normally see are heats being missed or heats being invented. If you've identified your non-cycling cows and treated them, but your submission rates are still low, it's likely that the issue may lie with your heat detection. If this is the case, then a review of your heat detection practices is probably warranted. Does everyone know what to look out for? What aids are you using? Is your recording and tag identification up to scratch? I mean, if every missed heat is potentially costing you $50 to $100, then it's worthwhile to ensure your heat detection is as good as it can be. Now, the second main issue we normally see would be non-cycling cows. So no matter how good your heat detection is, if the cows aren't cycling, you're not going to be able to put them up and you're not going to be able to mate them. Now, non-cycling cows can be caused by a variety of reasons, such as low body condition score, uterine infections, or have been poorly grown. So the best way to deal with these cows is to identify them early with pre-mating heats and treat them with a non-cycler program. Ideally, we would have around 75% of cows having at least one pre-mating heat before mating starts. However, if you haven't done this and mating has already started, it's still not too late to treat these non-cycling cows with a non-cycling program and get them up within the first 3 weeks. If we've gotten to week 4 of mating and our submission rates and non-return rates are way down on where they should be, then it's probably best that you consult your farm veterinarian or farm advisor for a tailored solution. But things to consider: bull management. You can put the bulls in early. You probably will need to increase the bull numbers as they will potentially have to service a higher number of cows. Nutrition. Review the body condition coming into calving and also your feeding strategies. Condition loss between mating and calving can have a significant effect on cycling cows. Now, these aren't an immediate fix. This is probably more from like a long-term perspective. The other thing we can probably try would be mating length, extending that mating length, but finishing the tail with some short gestation AI to stop your calving spread from getting longer and making the problem worse. There'd be something else to consider. Hopefully this talk was helpful. If you've any other questions or are worried, leave us a comment or give us a ring. Cheers, bye.